Ladies and gentlemen, occasionally you get those live matches on Advanced Wars by Web that are just nail-biters from start to finish. And the match that I'm going to be showing you guys today is one such match. This truly was one of those games where I was just on the edge of my seat all the way until the very end. And one of the reasons why I think this match was so exciting is because of the CO matchup. Now, as per usual, you guys can see that I'm playing Nell because I love Nell in Tier 1 matches. But my opponent actually picked Javier, and Javier is a rarity on Advanced Wars by Web in general, I say, because in so many cases, Von Bolt is just a superior pick. I personally am of the opinion that we should just ban Von Bolt in Tier 1. Just remove him entirely from the Live League because he's a boring CO, and no one likes playing against him. But my opponent picked Javier, which made me very happy because Javier is just so much more fun to go up against because unlike Von Bolt, Javier actually has a win and a lose condition. His lose condition is if he fails to capture the Comm Tower, or if his opponent denies him his Comm Tower. But he also has a win condition, and that is if he manages to get both Comm Towers. So on maps like this, where the Comm Tower is sort of contested, you may think that Javier is a bad choice because, oh, you can deny him his Comm Tower, but you can also see Javier get 2 Comm Towers. And without spoiling too much of this match, I will say that you'll see both of these things happen at once in this game. And it made for an absolutely epic match. Truly an epic match. You want to watch this one. So, my opponent is Noob playing, I think he's an alt. He's like an 800 rated account, but he's very good in Live League, so he's probably an alt of something. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going to jump into this match right here. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. So the map that we're playing on is called Nibene. Don't really know what that means, but Advanced Wars by Web maps just love weird and quirky names, I guess. It's a pretty... There's a lot of mountains and forests on this map, which leads me to believe that maybe it's like one of the few maps where maybe Lash would be a viable pick in Tier 3 if Kindle didn't exist. That's another thing, by the way. I think banning Kindle in Tier 3 and Live League would make for a lot more interesting plays, honestly. But, you know, maybe it'll happen at some point. But yeah, you also got exposed HQs, which makes this map even more entertaining because there are like contested Comm Towers and exposed HQs at once. So you have a possibility for a lot of different dynamics to happen. You can have a battle in the middle where if you fail, you lose your Comm Tower, and at the same time you have Comm Towers on the sides right here. So it kind of incentivizes 3 fronts, which I really like. However, you may notice one thing, and that's the fact that if you build a recon on this base, it can actually reach this Comm Tower really quickly, and that's exactly what I end up doing. Actually, no, never mind. Turns out I built a tank, not a recon. But you can also build a recon, actually. If you look at the path that this recon can take, there's some forest styles that it needs to go through, but it's like, you got shoals here, plain, city, forests. I think you can actually reach this Comm Tower rather quickly with a recon, but in fact, I decided to go for a tank instead. So, I played this battle, I think, like, last week, so it's not super fresh in my mind, but I saved the replay because I knew that I had to make a replay commentary of this particular map because it was just that entertaining. So yeah, you can see what I'm doing right here. I'm training tanks. A tank can actually reach this Comm Tower on turn 2, so already I'm threatening an interrupt here. Now my opponent does see this coming and he's building a tank to go stop it, but he won't be able to stop it quickly enough. So he goes for the capture, and he moves his tank up like this to try and punish my tank for going here. But I have another tank. I'm going to keep training tanks because I realize I'm up against Javier. If I can deny him his Comm Tower for... I probably won't be able to do it forever, but the longer I can do it, the better for me, right? And, like, he can deny my Comm Tower as well, but it's not as big deal. I'm Nell. I don't need that Comm Tower as much as he needs his because, you know, his entire CO kit relies on that Comm Tower. So I go in with my tank, and I immediately train a third tank. So already you can see where he's in a very rough spot right here because he's not going to get this Comm Tower. And I can just keep training tanks into him. Now, he does get to attack from this forest, and he moves in another tank. But I will just continue to train tanks. Like, this is my weak side, don't get me wrong. He has 2 bases, I have 1, so I can't do this forever. But I figured the longer I can keep it up, the better, you know? So I capture my Comm Tower to get that extra 10% firepower, and then I go in with my tank. I get a first strike. His tank now has 1 HP, and then I attack his infantry. So he will not get this Comm Tower now. I also build a recon on the right side because there's mainly just infantry here and he's going to keep building tanks on this side. So I figured a recon on this side would be very good with warding away some infantry. Maybe I can grab some properties here. So I figured why not. So here, he really, really wants to try and protect this Coom tower. He keeps his 1 HP tank. But, ladies and gentlemen, who is good at picking off low HP vehicles with her infantry? Well, that would be a CO with luck damage, like Nell. So, I mean, I think normally a infantry against, like a normal infantry against a 1 HP tank, it's pretty likely to work. I'd say even for like a normal CO, 5 to 14%. So it's like, depending on how high that 1 HP tank is, you could fail this roll, I guess, but Nell is a lot more likely, 5 to 24, she's much more likely to win that luck roll, so one of those rare examples where luck is actually pretty good, but I'm not going to use this infantry, ladies and gentlemen. I actually move in with my tank, and then I use the infantry to kill this infantry. That allows me to get a first strike, and now I'm actually kind of winning this engagement right here, even though he is building 2 tanks right here now. So there's, like, I won't be able to hold this forever, but if I can damage this infantry, which consequently, I do have an infantry in range to do just that, I can deny this Coom tower for a pretty long while. So now this infantry is down to 5 HP, so it's going to take him a while to get this Coom tower now, and all the while, this is a Javier with no day-to-day bonus at all. He doesn't get that 10% defense. So he's just a bad tier 4 CO. He's like bottom tier 4 CO right now. So this is not going so well, although he is getting some nice city strikes. And obviously I can't keep this up forever, but I can damage this infantry too. So the question is just how long am I willing to sack units to deny his Coom tower? The longer I can keep it up, obviously the better it is for him. He can't even pop his tower shield right now because it wouldn't give him any effects at all. So, but now I am actually threatening multiple cities down here. And yeah, I decide to just keep denying him his Coom tower. And I build a battlecopter here as well. And I continue to get some good strikes here. Now, he does have 2 healthy tanks here, so this is a little dangerous to do. But my lucky star is coming up. So we'll see what happens here. He pulls back his tank. He actually goes for my infantry instead of my tanks, which I think may be a mistake. But he does get a nice strike here. But he still doesn't have his Coom tower and won't have it for quite some time. So there's a potential for a good Lady Luck here, and I do in fact pop my lucky star. So now all my units got 60% luck. And I go for the tank strike, 5 HP of damage. That's almost a jackpot. So that's really good for me. And I also go for a recon attack. Pretty good firepower right here. I take some infantry engagements. Pretty good rolls so far. Take a shot. That's I think that's a low roll. Oops, sorry about that. Let me actually check. If you go, wait, why is it doing that? I just want you to go back 1. There you go. I just want to see. I think that might have been a low of the low roll, because right here we got 59 to 112, yeah. And I only deal 6 HP of damage, so that was a shit roll. This was a good roll, though. My battlecopter is coming in right here. And I'm actually kind of like indirectly threatening his HQ, so he needs to do something about that. Day 11 rolls in. He does not have his Coom tower. Can't really pop tower shield. He can do it for the classic 10-10 boosts, but he actually does exactly that. He pops his tower shield for the 10-10 boost. He's really desperate right now. He really needs to kill this tank. Because he doesn't, like... And I understand why he had to do this. Because if he hadn't done this, if this tank was allowed to live, I could have dealt 1 HP of damage to him and delayed the cap by another turn. So he was kind of forced to desperation pop his tower shield just for the 10-10 boosts. But he has some power charge up, so the other one isn't far behind. So he's doing some decent damage here. Could take some nasty damage back on the retaliation right there. You want to be careful attacking Nell when her power is up, because her counterattack damage can deal quite a lot of damage to you. So here... I continue to... I'm looking at this play, I think I am overextending a little bit here. I probably should have just cut my losses. I'm not able to interrupt this Coom tower, but it's a live game, so, you know, you can see the timers here on the right-hand side. I have 19 minutes, my opponent has 15 minutes, so I like to play pretty fast in live games, even though I know it's probably better to utilize my time and think a little bit. I am very impatient when I play live, so I like to play quickly. But my opponent finally gets his Coom tower right now. And as a result, he now he's now a tier 1 CO again. He's been a tier 4 CO all the way up until now. Now he's tier 1. So now I need to be careful a little bit, because now he's got that 10% increased defense. His next tower shield is pretty close, so I gotta be careful here. He has a battlecopter coming out on this side. I need an anti-air to respond to that. So if you look at the game state of the board right now, it's pretty even. We're pretty equal in value, although I haven't taken my turn yet, which is a big deal. He's slightly ahead in income. Let's see if I can do something here. I gotta capture these 2 cities at some point. I haven't been able to take these 2 cities, which I'm kind of sad about. I move in with some tanks. And his anti-air is not in range here, so I'm just taking some free shots with my battlecopter. But I realize I do have to pull back here with my tanks. I pull back because he's got a lot of tanks out here, and they're Javier tanks, so they're pretty scary. But yeah, I'm not able to capitalize on these 2 cities right here, which is kind of sad. So he's successfully defended over here. And he's pulling back into a more defensive position. And here I do something that I would later come to regret. I start to shift my units into the middle because I realize he has a huge army here, so I'm shifting my units into the middle. And only after doing this do I realize who I'm up against. I'm up against Javier. Look, he's not threatening my comm tower. And I have no units in range. If he gets both comm towers, it's GG. That is insanely difficult to deal with. 20% firepower in defense Javier. He pops his tower shield to triple those towers. He gets 60-60. I think 70-70 for a turn. Which is that you can't really do anything against that. At that point, it becomes very, very hard. And he's pushing hard while moving towards the comm tower as well because he wants to goad me into attacking him. So very smart. My opponent realizes here that this is a win condition, so he might as well play super recklessly and force me to take a bunch of engagements. But I decide, no, actually, I'm not going to let him do that. So I shift my entire army to the right again. I'm like, no, you're not taking this tower from me. And he realizes that he can just go ham here because, and he pops his tower shield even. I'm glad he wasn't able to kill this tank, but he can kill it with someone else. But this is a very scary push right here. He's dealing a lot of damage. And his power is up, so I can't really pop my Lucky Star next turn, even though I really want to. I actually don't remember if I do or not. But here you can see, very scary. He's pushing in with a tower shield. I actually do activate my Lucky Star into his power, which kind of shows how desperate I am right now. But there's so many good engagements to take right here. So I go in, there's a lot of units to kill here. I get a good shot on the road here, so pretty low roll. But the defense does take a big bite into your luck damage, which is annoying, but there's so many good engagements, I figured a Lucky Star was probably warranted. Look at that, that's just sad, my god. But I do get a very nice shot at the battlecopter, taking 5 HP down with my luck right there. So that's nice. I'm doing quite a lot of damage to him, even though I was forced to pop Lucky Star into his power, which is never what you want. Also, this battlecopter is going on an adventure right now. I'm not entirely sure what's going on here. But so far, it's a pretty even match. My opponent continues to take good trades, goes for the city cap right here. Anti-air comes in as well. We're on day 16, ladies and gentlemen. Live games have a time limit of 30, so it usually comes down. Once the game goes into day 20 and you see no signs of it ending, that means it's probably going to be decided by properties. So at that point, it becomes very important to cap properties and not let your opponent cap your properties. So I have a pretty solid defense here in the middle, using my HQ and my properties as a staging ground, using them to repair my damaged units. This anti-air, by the way, had to dance around these mountains so much. And look, this tower is still in danger right now, as you can see right now. Because it's very hard to defend. Like, you can put a tank here to block the capture. It's very difficult to do. So day 17 rolls in. And my opponent, once again, is going for that comm tower. And I realized that it might not be possible to stop him. And look, he's doing the thing again where he's distracting me in the center with a lot of good trades. However, this time I believe I actually just go for it. Because I'm like, you know what? Letting him cap my comm tower isn't that big a deal if he loses his entire army. So yeah, I go for it here. I do try to take out some of the tanks on the left side. But I pop a Lucky Star mid-turn, and I go for an attack here with my battlecopter, dealing quite a lot of damage. Because he has a lot of tanks hanging right here. I take out his anti-air. Oh, this was very sad. If I had taken down this anti-air completely, this battlecopter could have been very scary. But I put my anti-air on top of this tower to prevent him from taking it, even though it will lead to him attacking me. But I'm getting a lot of good trades right here. I think he became a little too cocky, attempting to go for this tower, and he placed too many units in my range. So this turn, I'm able to mop up a lot of his units, as you can see right here. The value is quite different right now. He does have to bring his anti-air back, and look at this. Look at this. I get a good counterattack dealing 2 HP of damage. So this battlecopter is doing a pretty good job of annoying him right now. And he actually pops his Tower of Power, which is not a good move. This is not something you want to do. Tower of Power for Javier is just a 10% increase from his normal power, unless you have 2 Coom towers, at which point you can probably pop it to win the game. But this is a big mistake for my opponent here. He should have just popped his Tower Shield. Javier's superpower is extremely niche and should never be activated, again, unless you have 2 Coom towers. Then it could be used to devastating effect. But you really don't want to pop it. So, but he does pop it, and I mean, it does make his units very tough for a turn. I think 40-40 is what he gets out of it, if I'm not completely mistaken. Let me just double check. So he gets Tower Power triples his Coom towers. That's 30% firepower and defense from this Coom tower, and then he gets the 10-10 boost. So yeah, it's 40%. It makes him practically immune to indirect damage, but I don't have a single artillery on the map, so that doesn't really matter. So yeah, 40% firepower and defense for 1 turn. That does make him slightly better than Combat, which is pretty good. But, yeah, it's, I mean, look, my tanks are hardly dealing damage to his units on cities, so I do have to play rather defensive for this turn, unless... I can still go for the units on light terrain, but I cannot attack anything that's on a city. It's just not possible, so... I just kind of play passive for a turn and just, like, position my units in defensively. As day 19 rolls in, we're still very equal. I'm slightly ahead, though, in terms of unit value. But he's spending a lot of tanks trying to dislodge this tank, so he's maybe overextending a little bit here. I think maybe if I were him, I would have pulled back, but he's insisting on keeping the fighting going in the center here. He's very, very brash, this guy. Very aggressive, but once again... he's threatening this Coom tower. So, and this time around, it looks like I might not be able to stop him, because now he has a battlecopter assisting him, and he's able to place a tank on my Coom tower. So at this point, I realized that, oh my god, I think actually this Coom tower is going to fall now. So, I continue the brawling in the center, because again, most of this terrain is very favorable to me. And then I realized, you know what, if he's going to take my Coom tower, I'm going to place this anti-air right here, so that if he wants to shoot on it, at least he can't capture my Coom tower. But at this point, I do believe I build a T-copter. Yeah, I build a T-copter right here because I realized, you know what? He's probably going to take this Coom tower within 3 turns, so I'm going to try and take his Coom tower back. That's pretty much the only way I can avoid losing this match right now. So I'm like, okay, fine, you can take my Coom tower. I don't mind. My battlecopter finally goes down in the north. And again, he's keeping the brawling going in the center, and he's taking down my anti-air. And at this point, I realized, okay, he will 100% take my Coom tower now. I'm just gonna have to deal with that for a few turns until I can take this Coom tower back. But in the meanwhile, day 20, I do have my lucky star. And I'm trying, oh my god, I was like, oh, if I was able to, maybe if I was able to take out this infantry, but, and I'm dealing some nice damage to the battlecopter at least, which is nice, but my opponent needs to be careful right now because there are some properties hanging in the center here. But I'm definitely not going to make it easy for him to take this Coom tower. My plan is if he takes it, at least I'm going to try and wipe out all the other units in the area and maybe take it back. So the brawl continues in the center. And I'm bringing my T-copter up here now, boosting a little bit to get some infantry. There's some properties here I still haven't captured. So day 21 rolls in, and my opponent pops his tower shield. Gets a good first strike here with the battlecopter, takes up my tank, and yeah, now there's no way I'm going to be able to take this Coom tower away from him. It will fall right now, and I'm going to have to deal with 2020 Javier for a few turns. And it's going to get pretty scary. It is very, very scary to go up against a Javier that has 2 towers. If you let him pop his power, he's going to wipe you off the map. Luckily, he just popped it, so it's going to be a little while until he gets it again. Day 21 rolls in. I take out his battlecopter, take a shot at his tank, but it's so hard to kill. And I do try to attack his tank here, but as you can see, 2 tanks, not enough to kill a Javier tank with this power-up. So it is hopeless. However, thankfully, I had the foresight to build a T-copter, which means that I will be able to take this Coom tower away from him. So value-wise, I am leading, but day 22 rolls in. Now Javier has 2 Coom towers, and let me just show you how difficult it is to take good cost-effective engagements. Let's just put him on planes right here. Look at this. Look at this right now. He's dealing as much damage as he's taken, even when I'm first striking. Like, this is just not... This is not good. This is not good. Like, my infantry versus his infantry on planes. Look at that. Barely dealing more damage than he takes. And if he is able to pop his power, if I'm stupid enough to let him get his power, look at that. Look at that. That is... It's GG, basically. Even when I'm attacking him, no damage dealt if he gets his power. And if he's like on terrain or anything like that, just forget about it. Just forget about it. Not dealing any damage to him at all. So, yeah. I have to get this Coom tower, and I have to get it before he gets his tower shield. Otherwise, he's just going to wipe me off the map. Now, he's going to lose most of his units in this area. But his units are just going to be so disgustingly strong right now. Look how he's just cleaning up so many of my units on the left here. And I'm like, oh my god, am I going to be able to take this Coom tower? I actually don't know if I can. There's so many units around here. I don't know if I can. He's building an artillery for some reason. I'm not really sure why. But I am able to deal some damage to him right here. I have a healthy infantry ready to capture this Coom tower. And I realize I might not be able to get this, actually. But instead, I'm probably going to be able to get this Coom tower back. So I just have to try and hold out as much as possible. His tower shield is not quite ready. He really wants to pop it, though, with 2 Coom towers up. And my opponent is playing very aggressively. Don't think Lady Luck is going to be worth it right now. Not when he has this much defense, so I'm just going to play defensive. I'm going to get this back now. Day 24 rolls in. And he's going to enjoy that 20% defense to its fullest. Of course, I'm going to get it back, though. But he's building a lot of artillery now. And you can see we're still very tight on income. There's 6 days left, so this is looking like it might be a draw. But I pop my Lucky Star. And I go for it. I go for the damage. I sack a tank. I cannot let him get the city. Like, not 6 days away from the time limit. I even build an APC because I realize this is a capture battle. And I need to get infantry to the front lines. It's so important to do that. But it's a decent Lady Luck, or sorry, Lucky Star. Not the best, but it's, you know, it's okay. It's okay. It's an okay Lucky Star. Not the best, but not the worst either, you know? So here, my opponent pops his tower shield, luckily only with 1 Coom tower. And we are going to see a mad dash to control the properties in the center right here. It's a pretty scary attack. It takes down my battlecopters. His artillery placement was actually pretty good. Day 25 rolls in. We're still tied. Tied in value. Tied in... However, I do get a nice shot at his artillery here. And now I'm actually threatening his HQ, so he needs to be very careful now. I'm using my T-copter to ferry my infantry closer to the front lines. I think it's very good to build transports towards the late stages of your live game if both sides are very tied, because you need infantry. Infantry is your victory condition, basically. You need a lot of them. So here, he's actually doing a join cap to try and get this property right here, and that would be very bad for me. His artillery was actually very annoying towards the late stages of this game, so he positioned them really well. You can see his time is very low, though. My opponent is playing on increment right now, whereas I have 14 minutes left. And this is actually affecting him in a pretty big way here. And now, both of these 2 properties are hanging. So, look at that. He's going to get this property most likely, and maybe this one, but I'm going to get these 2. And I have a Lucky Star available right now, but I don't pop it, which is a bit of a shame because he's probably going to pop his tower shield next turn. Day 27, we got 3 days left. Both of us are tied on income. He pops his tower shield, and he does what he can to interrupt these caps. He realizes that these caps have to be defended no matter what. It's so important. And I have, I almost have Lady Luck available right now. He takes down my anti-air. And I'm probably not going to be able to get this property right here. Day 27. I actually popped my Lucky Star. I actually popped my lucky star. Because I realized I need to do damage to him. I need to try and interrupt this cap somehow. And I'm not able to interrupt it, but I'm able to deal a lot of damage to him, which is good. And I know I'm probably going to get these two if I can block him from taking them. So I'm cleaning up a lot of his units on the right-hand side right here. Building an anti-air. Using my APC to block the captures. And day 28 rolls in. My opponent takes a single city. He's now slightly ahead of me, but 3 of his cities are falling. He's able to interrupt this cap. And he's able to interrupt this cap as well. So he's doing a pretty good job. And now he's threatening this city as well. So at this point, I'm sweating. I'm like, oh boy, this is bad. This is bad. My opponent is threatening multiple cities right now, and I'm only getting 1. But I am able to capture this one, which puts the income 19 to 18. This city's still gray, hasn't been captured yet. And we are on day 28. Only 3 turns remaining. I'm taking down this capture. I cannot let him get this one. Using a T-copter to bring my infantry to the center. I build more anti-air because he's got a lot of battlecopters. And I build a battlecopter of my own. Day 29. He realizes that he's got to damage my infantry and try to take a city of his own. I just have to hold out for 2 more turns. He's capturing this now, and he's putting all of his units around it. If he can get the city, he'll at least get a draw. So he's playing for a draw right now. I'm playing to win. So he places a very solid wall right now, and he actually played really fast towards the end here. You see my time is actually going down a little bit. And I'm like, okay. If he had a tower shield right now, it'd probably be he would probably be able to get the draw, but I do find a way to get through here. And I'm able to interrupt the cap. And at this point, I build more. I'm really scared. Because again, he has the tower shield. And he will probably pop it if he can get it. There you go, tower shield. I think he has... I'm not sure if he has 1 more day after this. I think maybe not, because he's player 1, and it's day 30. So this is his final turn, so yeah. So day 30 rolls in, I pop my lucky star, and I decide to do as much damage as I can, and I build the pipe runner to show respect. The respectful pipe runner, I call it. And, ladies and gentlemen, for some reason it won't let me show the next action. But I do win, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why it won't let me show it. Maybe some kind of bug with the site. But after this, I do indeed win. Yeah, apparently it just doesn't want to let me. It doesn't want to let me see. It doesn't want to show you the victory screen. But I won, guys. I promise. So yeah, that was my live game. Nell versus Javier. Went all the way until day 30. And it came down to a single property. So a very exciting match. I do think Javier is a lot of fun to play against because, again, the game can change so dynamically depending on how the Coom towers ping pong back and forth. So this is why I really want Fumbolt to be banned and just have people pick Javier instead on games in tier 1 matches. If you want the defense here, just go with Javier. Ban Fumbolt. More Javier games, please. He's so much more fun to play against than Fumbolt, in my humble opinion. Alright, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was my game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.